What's going on YouTube? Welcome to episode 27 of the U.S.S. Enterprise D tutorial. I'm Zero Elite and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button helping me and supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And today we got about a 21-minute video. You can see I skipped over part of this and about to go over why. Eagle eye people might notice that the front end here on the engines have been filled in, but don't worry, we're actually going to be rebuilding those. And I was just actually thinking about when I was putting this episode together, um, if I was going to show that, and we're literally going to rebuild them. So we're really just going to be skipping over that, and it's not going to be impeding on the build at all. Really, the main thing that you need to focus on right now is skip how this front part has a curve. Everything between your front circle and the back circle, or excuse me, the back circle, you're going to want to fill in. Don't worry necessarily about this blue stripe right now. We'll worry about details later on. Right now, we're just focusing on the shape. So if you need to, go ahead and pause the video and start filling in your engines between your first circle and the back circle. And you're just going to be going along the outline of your circle template. That's what you're going to be building off of. As long as you do that, you cannot make a mistake. So without further ado, we'll be hopping right into this. Because this was something that I talked about, that we extend the engines out. And as I was reviewing the content of what this episode was going to be, I just decided that there was really no point in showing this first part because we're just going to be building it over again. Um, so we're going to be counting out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So once you've filled in your hull for the engines, we're going to be stretching out the front circle by 7. We're going to be bringing it forward by 7. You're going to do that going all the way around. Now, of course, you want to make sure that you're sticking with your template. See, I'm going back, checking my work, counting it out to make sure that they're both exactly the same. We're going to go to this side, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. So now we're going to go off of the original circle, and we're just going to stretch that out, going all the way around by 7. Because my engines, the first time around, they were not long enough. They need to come in to the point that the tip of them, looking at the Enterprise D from the side, goes into the side of the engine, or excuse me, into the side of the neck. This is something you'll hear me talk about from time to time, that you use different areas of the ship to proportion out the rest of it. And that was one of the things that I determined looking at the build where we were at. I was noticing that the engines were a little bit shorter than what they needed to be. So what I did was just very simple. I just looked at a side view of the Enterprise D, and I looked at the position where the tip of the engines met on the neck. And that's what we're going to be bringing them up to make it match. Very simple process to do something like that. And when you start to develop these traits as far as building goes, it's going to get a lot easier for you. Now you can see this bottom row here, I'm actually making a mistake. I should be bringing it down just by 1 more. Actually surprised I did not notice that. We're going to be just extending out our original circle. As long as you do that, you're in good shape. Because what's going to end up happening when I zoom out to take a look at the outline of my ship, I'm going to notice that the top side doesn't match the bottom side, and that's because I made a mistake on the bottom. Now these other rows that I'm doing, probably notice I'm not taking the time to count all these out. and that's because we did the first row and just going all the way around. So we're using that cut line at this point now on where to land. So basically, what I'm getting at is that you don't have to count out every single row as long as you match up that cut line. That's really the top line here. This is the cut line that we've established. As long as no rows are going past this line, we're in good shape. I can't believe I skipped that bottom part. It's going to bug me until it gets fixed. But the important thing to consider at this point is I'm telling you the correct thing to do. I will go back and correct that, and it's just going to be something that happens. You are going to make mistakes during your builds, but it's just knowing where to pay attention, or knowing that you just got to pay attention to what you're doing, going back to check your work, and because these things, they matter as you go. Because the more mistakes you make, the more your ship's going to fall apart as you go, and the more it's not going to match up. Because now we're bringing this forward to the point that's literally going to encase the old front of the engines that we didn't do in the tutorial, because we're literally just going to be rebuilding that exact shape. So I didn't see the need to repeat that process twice. Now see, on this side, this is right. This is what I should have done on the left side engine. We were definitely making some progress here. She's starting to really come together. Once we get the engines done, then at that point, we're really going to be um, trying to wrap up the last part of the neck that we need to get finished, and then the deflector dish, and then of course the remainder of the saucer section. And then from there, we'll be hopping over to the interior. Well, actually, before we close up the saucer section, we'll be getting our main corridors done, um, because you want to make sure you fill that in before you do that before you fill in your hull, because then it's going to become very difficult to build out your corridors. But we'll get into that, don't worry. But yeah, after we do the corridors, then we'll close up the hull of the saucer, and then we'll really start to rock and roll on the interior, which is going to be a lot of fun and just a slow and long process, because there's going to be a lot of rooms to fill in. And I don't think my goal, well, I take that back. My goal is to fill in as much as the ship as I possibly can. But what I'm also looking to do with the interior of the Enterprise D is to keep it as close as I can, and not add in areas that you would, one, were never on the Enterprise D, and two, wouldn't be. Now, with that being said, there's only going to be so much room that we can go off of. So we're going to mess with it. You'll see what I mean when we get into the interior of it. But anyway, right now we're going to be getting into doing our next row here, and you can see I'm just going along our cut line, and I've gone one down. And I'm going two out. Now, if you really want to, like I just did, if you want to delete the access on the inside, you can. But at this point, we're never that these areas of the ship, they're never going to see the light of day again. So if you don't want to delete that access on the inside, at this point, I think that would be like probably the one and only exception on this build where you're not going to see me get rid of it, because there's just really no point in deleting the extra access of the blocks that we're throwing down right now. Um, But as long as you're going with the cut line, you're going two out right now. At this point, we're in good shape. And again, we're just going to do this going all the way around shape of our engine. And as each time we're going in with the cut, we're slowly developing the curve that the front of the engines have on the Enterprise D. actually need to delete those bottom two. Okay. So you should have something that looks just like that. So I think I'm actually maybe going to bring this out by one more, make it 3, this first cut in. Because on the original ones, and you can see I was going back, I was actually checking to see what I had done previously, because I did it in a pattern of 2 as I transitioned inward with every single cut. On this first row at least is going to be 3. After this, it could very well be 2, because we don't want them to be too elongated, but that first cut line is really the one that I'm most concerned with at this point. So we're not doing anything fancy. We're literally just matching our pattern, just going 1 down with the cut and 2 out. Okay, got the bottom side to do. We're going to bang that out real quick. Again, on the inside of the engines, I'm not worried about the access, so I'm just going to leave it. But on the outside, that's a different story. Don't want to leave any access, building blocks, because then it's really going to mess with the shape of your build. Okay, that's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good so far. Has a nice transition line. That first cut line being 3, I think helps stretches it out a little bit. Now you can see in this last row, we're going to make this one 3 as well. Because I'm just doing it gradually, little by little, as you can see. I'm adding a little bit, zooming out, taking a look at it, seeing how it looks, and deciding what is needed at that point, basically. That's the best way that I can describe it. Now, normally, I'd be going back and forth between the 2 engines, but what I'm doing right now is it's a pretty simple pattern, because we're just literally following the outline that we have, going in a pattern of 3 so far, and as long as you do that, no mistakes can be made. Unlike what you saw me do a little while ago, and that was just because I missed 1 row. But that just goes to show, just pay attention to what you're doing. I think there was actually 1 block on this side that I messed up on, but we will go back and we're going to clean it up. Make sure that both sides match going around all the way around. You can usually tell by watching my videos, um, my recording sessions, by what time of the day it is. Because if I'm making a lot of mistakes, chances are it's late at night. And I've been at this point, I've been working on this build for a considerable amount of time. You can see I'm just trying to kind of get through it at this point. But during the day, or when I haven't been up all night building the thing, um, I tend to make a lot less mistakes, which is one of the reasons why I say don't build when you're tired, because you are going to make a lot of mistakes, or more mistakes than you would if you weren't tired. So that last row there, I decided to keep that at 2. we're going to just step back and take a look at this thing. So we did 2 rows of 3, and then 1 row of 2, and the last is a single. And really what I'm looking at is the transition of how it cuts inward. So now we're going to do the left side engine. And it's going to drive me crazy full on knowing that the very bottom row is incorrect. I'm wondering if I'm actually going to catch that in this episode, or if this is going to be something that we're going to be changing later on. Most of the time I do end up catching a mistake while either right when I did it or right after I did it. Been very few times I've actually had to go back after the fact and change it, but I think that could have been the case with the engine. If I'm not mistaken, I think I ended up going back and changing it later. So I got a couple more rows to do. We're going to let this play out. But so far, the ship is coming out pretty good. I've had some pretty positive feedback so far during the course of this build. Um, a lot of positive comments. I just want to thank everybody that's taken the time to comment on this build and let me know that they're enjoying it. You all are awesome. And I mean, what else can I say? This was, at the end of the day, this was a very challenging build, but still very fun to do. Um, I don't know. It's something about Minecraft building with these blocks that I really enjoy the challenge in it because it forces you to kind of think outside the box. No pun intended. But it totally it forces you to think outside the box regarding what you want to do, and trying to make you know a 3D object work within pixel art or I shouldn't say pixel art. I should say pixel art. Um, but it's definitely a lot of fun. And if this is your first time coming across one of my videos and you're thinking about starting a build, I'd highly recommend it because at the end of the day, this it's a lot of fun, this shipbuilding hobby, and it can really help take your mind off of things. And maybe you're even like myself where you like building models, but maybe you don't have the space that you can do that right now. Which ironically, that's kind of, what my shipbuilding on Minecraft has replaced because I used to work on a lot of models as far as building them and painting them. And where I live now in my apartment, I don't have I mean, I have a place where I can build them, sure, at my desk, but if I wanted to paint them, that's a completely different story. And I really don't have anywhere I could do that at. I mean, if I really, really wanted to, like, I could maybe spend the money to get, like, to build, like, a painting booth area, but I just don't have the room to do it. But building these ships on Minecraft is definitely a close second. And the only thing that I wish that they had on here was a mod on Xbox that you could actually use your ships, kind of like the way that you do in Starship Evo. And I've looked in the store and I haven't been able to find anything. I know that they have mods on PC for it, but I don't believe that they have it on Xbox. Um, Now, if they do have such a mod where you can make your own build and make it move, turn it into a moving ship, let me know in the comments section. I definitely would love to know what that mod is so I can maybe implement that. Because I have been playing a little bit of Starship Evo, not so much lately, because I'm waiting for more content. But that was one of the main reasons why I started playing that game, because you can literally build your own ships from scratch, and it was pretty straightforward to build them. It wasn't relatively hard at all to get it going. But with that game, I feel like after a while, I found out how kind of lacking it was um, in content, not only with your building options, just different customization options like individual building pieces. Um, and not only that, like once you get your ship built, there's really not all that much that you can explore. With that being said, if they had something like that on Minecraft, that would be pretty cool. And I would jump right into that. This bottom lip right here is going to drive me nuts until it gets fixed. And some of you might say, like, well, it's not that big of a deal. No one's going to notice it. And you know what? Touche. Some people might not notice it, but I would. And that's really what's messing it up for me right now is the fact that I know that I made a mistake right there. And that's going to bug me until I fix it. And I think it was at this moment that I realized that I messed up, maybe. And this is how you check with things like that. Again, we're going to go back, we're going to check the other side. Yep. So I saw that I made a huge mistake and that this whole bottom part is not accurate. But that's okay. We can fix it. We can easily fix it. But this is one of the reasons why you want to do both sides pretty much simultaneously while it's still fresh in your mind. So this way you remember how you built it and you can always go back and redo it basically. As you can see, it really isn't that big of a deal to fill it in. Just adding a couple more rows down here on the bottom side. You can see I'm going with a cut line. That's my indicator to know where I need to add another row. And just like that, I fixed it. Yep. We go over to the other side and just double check, make sure it looks good. Did not feel like a 21-minute episode today. We kind of shot through that pretty fast. But now we're going to zoom out, really take a look at this thing and see how she looks. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's looking like the Enterprise D. Aside from the middle part of the neck right here, this front piece, that's looking pretty good. That's right where we want it. This is definitely getting me excited because the ship is finally starting to come together. And as we go forward, I will show you how to fix that neck up just like it looked in the teaser trailer. We got a lot more to do on this thing. So I think today that's going to wrap us up. Don't want to go too far in the video today. But I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in today's episode. And if you did enjoy this content, help me out. Hit that like and subscribe button, helping me supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And new subscribers, don't forget to hit notifications on so you get notified when those new videos drop. And speaking of new videos, you can usually catch my Minecraft videos dropping Tuesdays through Thursdays, typically around 7 p.m. Eastern. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week, and I'll catch you on the next episode.